Imagine the moment of your death. It is the thing humans fear most. We spend our entire lives running from it. We build hospitals to delay it. We invent religions to explain it. We accumulate wealth to insulate ourselves from it. But eventually, the clock runs out. The heart stops beating. The electrical signals in the brain fade into silence. The screen goes black. Or does it? What if I told you that death is nothing more than a stubborn illusion? What if I told you that the concept of the end is a lie created by the limitations of your biology? What if modern science, specifically quantum physics, has finally caught up to what the ancient mystics knew 5,000 years ago? The theory is called biocentrism, and it suggests something radical. It suggests that the universe does not create life, life creates the universe. It suggests that space and time are not hard objects, but tools of the mind. And if space and time are just tools, then death, which can only exist within space and time, cannot be real. Welcome back to Hidden Atlas. Today, we are going to explore the scientific proof that you are immortal. Not your body, not your ego, but the you that is watching the screen right now. We are going to look at the double-slit experiment, the paradox of Schrödinger's cat, and the revolutionary work of Dr. Robert Lanza. We are going to dismantle the materialist worldview that says you are just a bag of meat destined to rot, and we are going to replace it with the terrifying and beautiful truth. You are the universe experiencing itself, and the universe cannot die. To understand why death is an illusion, we first have to ask a simple question. Does the kitchen exist when you are not in it? Your common sense says yes. You believe that if you leave the room, the table, the chairs, and the refrigerator are still there, solid and real, waiting for you to return. This is the classical Newtonian view of the world. It assumes that there is an objective reality out there, separate from you, the observer. But quantum physics says no. In the 1920s, the greatest minds in history, Einstein, Bohr, Heisenberg, stumbled upon a discovery that shattered this view. They found that at the subatomic level, the building blocks of matter do not exist as solid objects. They exist as waves of probability. They exist as a cloud of maybe. They only become solid things when they are observed. This is the famous double-slit experiment. When scientists fired particles like electrons at a wall with two slits, the electrons behaved like waves. They went through both slits at once. They interfered with themselves. They were in two places at the same time. But the moment the scientists placed a camera to watch which slit the electron went through, the electron changed its behavior. It stopped acting like a wave and started acting like a solid bullet. It went through only one slit. Think about the implications of this. The particle knew it was being watched. The act of observation collapsed the wave function. The observer created the reality. Robert Lanza, one of the most respected scientists in the world, took this concept to its logical conclusion. He argues that this is not just a trick of subatomic particles. This is the fundamental law of the cosmos. Without consciousness, there is no matter. Without an eye to see it, there is no sound. With an ear to hear it, there is no sound. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? The answer, according to biocentrism, is absolutely not. It creates air pressure waves. It creates vibration. But sound is a sensation that only happens inside a brain. Without the ear and the brain to decode the wave, there is only silence. The same applies to the universe. We think the universe is this vast, cold, empty place that has been here for billions of years, and we are just tiny accidents that appeared on a rock. Biocentrism flips this upside down. The universe is a projection of our collective consciousness. We are the projector. The stars, the galaxies, the planets are the movie. If this is true, then the body is just the avatar we use to navigate the movie. When the avatar dies, the movie ends for that character. But the projector, the consciousness that generated the image, is untouched. We identify so strongly with the body. We look in the mirror and say, "This is me." But science tells us that the body is in a constant state of flux. Every 7 years, every single cell in your body is replaced. You are not the same pile of atoms you were 7 years ago. The matter is different. The energy is different. So what is the you that persists? It is the signal. It is the awareness. Imagine you are watching a television show. The characters on the screen are running, fighting, crying. Suddenly, the television breaks. The screen shatters. The characters are gone. Did the signal die? No. The signal is still there, in the airwaves. It just needs a new receiver. Biocentrism suggests that death is simply the breaking of the television. The signal, the 20 watts of energy that powers your brain, does not vanish. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. Where does your energy go when you die? It doesn't fade into nothingness. It returns to the non-local field. It returns to the source. But the illusion of death is powerful because we are trapped in the illusion of time. We believe that we are moving along a timeline from birth to death. We believe that the past is gone and the future is not here yet. But what if time is just a program running in your mind? Let us attack the concept of time, because without time, there can be no death. Death is, by definition, an endpoint. An endpoint requires a linear progression: start, middle, end. But physics tells us that time is not linear. Albert Einstein famously said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." In the theory of relativity, space and time are fused into a single fabric called spacetime. Everything that has ever happened and everything that will ever happen exists simultaneously in this block of spacetime. Think of it like a DVD. The entire movie exists on the disc at once. The beginning, the climax, and the credits are all etched onto the plastic simultaneously. But when you play the DVD, you experience it scene by scene. You, the observer, move through the static information and create the illusion of flow. Your consciousness is the laser reading the disc. If you are the laser, then the scenes you have already played are not gone, they are just not currently being read. And the death scene at the end of the movie is just another coordinate on the disc. It is not the destruction of the laser. Robert Lanza argues that we carry time around with us like turtles with shells. We use time as a tool to organize our sensory information. Our brains are designed to take the chaotic information of the quantum universe and order it into cause and effect. I dropped the glass, and then it broke. This is how our mind makes sense of the world. But in the quantum realm, cause and effect can be reversed. Particles can know what happens in the future and change their behavior in the past. If time is a mental construct, then forever does not mean a long time. Forever means outside of time. When you die, you step out of time. You step out of the linear processing of the brain. You return to the eternal now. This is why people who have near-death experiences often say, "I was gone for 5 minutes, but it felt like 1,000 years," or "it felt like no time at all." They left the simulation of time. Biocentrism also challenges the concept of space. We think space is a container. We think we are small objects sitting inside a massive box called the universe. We measure distances. The moon is far away. The stars are very far away. But distance is also a creation of the brain. Reach out and touch the screen in front of you. It feels solid, it feels like it is out there, separate from your fingers. But what is actually happening, the atoms in your finger are repelling the atoms in the screen with electromagnetic force. They never actually touch. The signal travels up your nerves to your brain. Your brain decodes the signal and creates the sensation of touch inside your head. The image of the screen travels as light waves to your retina. Your brain decodes the electrical impulses and creates an image inside your visual cortex. Everything you are seeing, hearing, and touching right now is happening inside your brain. The entire universe is located inside your skull. There is no out there. It is all in here. If space is a construct of the mind to organize objects, then you cannot go anywhere when you die. You cannot go to heaven or hell or the void, because those imply locations. Instead, you simply stop creating the illusion of separation. You realize that you never were the small object inside the box. You were the box itself. You were the space in which the objects appeared. This leads us to the concept of quantum entanglement. This is the phenomenon that Einstein called spooky action at a distance. If you take two particles and entangle them, they become linked. You can separate them by billions of light years apart. Put one on Earth and one on the other side of the galaxy. If you change the spin of the particle on Earth, the particle on the other side of the galaxy changes instantly, faster than the speed of light. They act as if there is no space between them. They act as if they are one object. Biocentrism suggests that all matter in the universe was entangled at the Big Bang. Every atom in your body was once crushed together with every atom in the stars. We are all entangled. If we are entangled, then separation is an illusion. You are connected to everything that exists. When you die, the chemical bonds that hold your specific collection of atoms together might break, but the quantum information that makes up you is entangled with the universe. It cannot be lost. Think of the cloud. When you smash your smartphone, the phone is dead, the glass is broken, the processor is fried. But your photos, your messages, your data are safe in the cloud. The phone was just a portal to access the data. Your brain is the smartphone, your consciousness is the data, the universe is the cloud. But if we are just data in the cloud, do we keep our personality? Do I stay me, or do I dissolve into a soup of energy? This is the question that haunts us. We want to be immortal, but we want to be immortal as ourselves. Biocentrism offers a fascinating answer to this based on the multiverse theory. Let's return to the idea that the observer creates reality. If this is true, what happens when the observer's instrument, the brain, fails? Robert Lanza suggests that consciousness is not a product of the brain, but the brain is a receiver of consciousness. Just like a radio receiver picks up a signal from a station. If you damage the radio, the music sounds distorted. If you smash the radio, the music stops. But the radio station is still broadcasting. But here is the twist. The station is broadcasting on infinite frequencies simultaneously. This brings us to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. As we discussed in the quantum immortality video, every possible outcome of a situation happens in a separate branch of the multiverse. In the biocentric view, death is just a transition between branches. Imagine your life is a flower. When the flower blooms and dies, it returns to the earth. But the root system is vast and connected to millions of other flowers. When one flower dies, the life force doesn't end. It flows into the next bud. Lanza argues that because consciousness is the fundamental bedrock of reality, it cannot be extinguished. It simply shifts its focal point. When you die in this universe, you reach a dead end in the maze. But your consciousness, which exists outside of time, simply shifts its perspective to a version of you in a parallel universe where you are still alive. This means you never actually experience the final moment of non-existence. You might remember being sick, you might remember the car crash, but then you are just here again. Perhaps in a world that is slightly different, perhaps in a reality where the doctors found a cure. This aligns with the feeling of invincibility we have. Have you ever noticed that you cannot truly imagine your own death? You can imagine the funeral, you can imagine the grief of others, but you cannot imagine the nothingness. That is because the nothingness is not a valid state for consciousness. Consciousness, by definition, is an experience. It cannot experience the lack of experience. Therefore, you are doomed to life. You are condemned to exist. But let's go deeper. Let's look at the brain itself. Neuroscience tells us that the brain is a reducing valve. This is a concept popularized by Aldous Huxley. The universe is flooded with an infinite amount of data. Energy, light, sound, dimensions we cannot conceive. If our brains let all of that in, we would be overwhelmed. We would burn out. So the brain evolved to filter it out. It blocks 99.9% of reality. It shows us only what we need to survive. It shows us food, danger, mate. It creates a simplified, user-friendly interface. What we call reality is just the user interface. It is the desktop icon, not the code inside the computer. When we take psychedelics like DMT or psilocybin, we are temporarily loosening the valve. We disable the filter, and suddenly, people report seeing other dimensions. They see geometric patterns. They talk to entities. They feel a sense of oneness with the universe. Skeptics say these are hallucinations. Biocentrism says this is the raw data. This is what the universe actually looks like when the brain stops censoring it. Now consider death. Death is the ultimate removal of the filter. When the brain dies, the reducing valve is destroyed, the dam breaks, and the infinite ocean of consciousness floods in. We fear death because we think it is a loss. We think we are losing the world. But biocentrism suggests that death is a gain. It is an expansion. You stop being the small character on the screen, and you remember that you are the entire system. The feeling of self that you cling to, your name, your job, your memories, is just the avatar stats. It's the character sheet, but the player behind the character is vast. There's a famous experiment called the 21 grams experiment, conducted in 1907 by Duncan McDougall. He weighed patients at the exact moment of death and claimed they lost 21 grams of weight. He asserted this was the weight of the soul. While the science of that specific experiment was flawed, the concept remains. Is there a measurable energy that leaves? Modern science looks at the microtubules in the brain neurons. Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff proposed the OR theory, orchestrated objective reduction. They suggest that consciousness originates at the quantum level inside these microtubules. When the heart stops, the blood stops flowing, and the microtubules lose their quantum state. The quantum information held within them is not destroyed. It leaks out into the universe at large. If the patient is revived, the information leaks back in, and they report a near-death experience. I was floating above my body. I was everywhere at once. If the patient is not revived, the information remains in the universe. It becomes non-local. It returns to the field. So you are not a body generating a mind. You are a radio wave that has localized itself into a body. You are a radio wave that has been trapped in a radio. When the radio breaks, the song doesn't stop. It just stops coming out of that specific box. But this leads to a terrifying question. If I am the universe, am I alone? Is biocentrism just solipsism? Is everyone else just a figment of my imagination? If my mind creates the universe, does your mind exist? Or are you just an NPC, non-player character, in my simulation? Biocentrism solves this with the concept of the shared mind. We are not separate consciousnesses. We are like islands in the sea. On the surface, we look separate. We have different names, different bodies, different locations. But if you go deep enough, beneath the water, you see that we are all connected to the same earth. We are all peaks of the same mountain range. There is only one consciousness. It is looking out through billions of eyes. When I look at you, I am looking at another version of myself. I am the universe looking at itself from a different coordinate. This explains empathy. Why do we feel pain when we see someone else suffer? Why do we cry at movies? Because deep down, beneath the ego's programming, we know that there is no other. The physicist David Bohm called this the holographic universe. In a hologram, every piece contains the image of the whole. If you cut a hologram of an apple in half, you don't get half an apple, you get two smaller, complete apples. You are a piece of the universal hologram. You contain the entire cosmos within you. So when you die, you do not merge with a foreign god. You do not go to a stranger's house. You wake up from the dream of separation. You realize that you were never the drop of water. You were always the ocean. This perspective changes everything about how we live. If death is an illusion, then fear is unnecessary. Most of our anxiety comes from the fear of annihilation. We are afraid of running out of time. We are afraid of being forgotten. We are afraid of ceasing to be. But if you know that you are the projector, not the movie, you can watch the movie without fear. You can enjoy the drama, the tragedy, and the comedy of life, knowing that it cannot truly harm you. Dr. Lanza uses the analogy of a goldfish. Imagine a goldfish in a bowl. It sees the distorted room through the curved glass. It constructs a physics to explain the movement of objects outside. If the bowl breaks, the goldfish dies. But the reality outside the bowl, the true reality, was always there, vast and incomprehensible to the fish. We are the goldfish. Our bodies are the bowl. Space and time are the curved glass. Death is the breaking of the bowl. It is not the end of reality. It is the entry into true reality. So, what does the afterlife look like according to biocentrism? It is not a place of clouds and harps. It is a state of pure potential. In the quantum world, before a particle is observed, it is in superposition. It is everything at once. It is everywhere at once. When you die, you return to superposition. You become everything. You are the wind, the stars, the thoughts of the living, the gravity that holds the planets. You return to the state of the infinite. And from that state of infinite potential, you can choose to collapse the wave function again. You can choose to be born again, to focus your consciousness into a new baby, a new avatar, a new perspective. This aligns with the concept of reincarnation, but with a scientific twist. You don't reincarnate because of karma, you reincarnate because it is the nature of consciousness to experience. The universe wants to know itself, and to know itself, it needs limited perspectives. It needs you. You are a necessary aperture through which the universe sees. This is the ultimate empowerment. You are not a victim of the universe. You are the creator of it. The sun shines because your mind constructs the concept of light. The stars exist because you observe them. Without you, the universe is just a cloud of probability equations. You carry the weight of the cosmos on your shoulders. So, the next time you look in the mirror, look past the wrinkles, past the gray hair, past the signs of aging. These are just cracks in the clay vessel. Look into your own pupils, the black holes in the center of your eyes. That is the observer. That is the spark that ignited the Big Bang. That is the thing that cannot die. As the great poet Rumi said, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion." And as Robert Lanza says, death does not exist in a timeless, spaceless world. In the end, even Einstein admitted that now is just an illusion. The screen will go black one day for your character. The funeral will be held. The body will return to the earth. But the signal, the mysterious, weightless, invisible signal that is listening to my voice right now, will never stop broadcasting. You are the hidden atlas. You are the map and the territory. Thank you for exploring the edge of science with us. This theory of biocentrism is heavy. It challenges everything we were taught in school, but it offers a hope that is based on logic, not just faith. If this video shifted your perspective on death, let us know in the comments. Do you feel the observer behind your eyes? Do you recall a moment where you felt connected to the whole? Subscribe to Hidden Atlas. We are mapping the infinite. Until next time, watch the world, create the world, and remember, you are not in the universe is in you.